Talk about it all here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Make sure and hit that like button, share button, comment button.
You know, one thing about Jaden that I've tried to talk to him about is tightening his chin strap. Because he doesn't tighten it, so every time he gets hit, it looks like his helmet's all messed up. And it's like, oh, God, he just got rocked.
For the win! Caught! It's good! LSU does it!
After fucking Saturday night in Tiger Stadium, boys. Are you kidding me?
Well, LSU fan came stuck his spike in my booty.
That motherfucker hard!
Fan brought his 2 grandkids by and literally was just 30 seconds, just wanted to say thank you for the team and the season and what you did and how much it means to everybody here is truly what makes LSU special.
Yeah. Coach Kelly, we're official.
Finally,
I'm
get a
telling
chance to meet you.
Thought I had to get a private audience with the Pope. It's Jordy. Monday through Friday from 7 to 9. Yeah, you see the notification. We about to go live. We got all your favorite guests. We got them in line. It's the Jordy Culotta Show. Come have a good time.
Tearing up, answering the question. I thought, my God, if she gets offered this job, she's going to take it.
It's just a crazy, fun time at LSU right now. Isn't this what everybody loves?
From the boot to the east to the west coast. No matter where we at, we open up the phone lines. Come and join the show. Make sure you tell your friends about Jordy Culotta Show. Yeah.
Let's go! Let's go! All right. Nice start. Big day. Nice start.
It's the Jordy Culotta Show. Come have a good time.
Coach, it's great to meet you. Thanks, sir. Thank you for the time.
Christmas, birthday, show. Wrapped the show early yesterday. We're live.
Good morning and welcome in. Lloyd has recovered somewhat
Threw up in the shower.
from yesterday.
I don't know what it is yet, but I will ignore it.
Quite the performance yesterday. I mean, y'all didn't see it, but it was, the start of the show. Before the show started, Lloyd goes and pukes. And then there were a handful of times during the show
Moving back and forth.
And I was like, okay, let me get my guy out of here. Let's.
And then they got to the parking lot just in time if you wanted the post show.
There was a post-game performance as well, where we're sitting in the parking lot, and at first, I got in the car, I'm ready to leave, but then I hear him vomiting again through my.
I finally got the good one up.
Window, and so I was like, okay, I'm gonna stay here for a second.
I was waiting for you to leave
to make sure Lloyd. I didn't want you to die.
I could have fallen out the car.
I was like, I need to be here just for his safety. In the parking lot.
No, but where did
Like, was he outside his car next to his car?
Yeah, he had the door open, and he's like...
Christian, you'll learn all of these moves at some point in your life.
So he's using, like, the little handle on your door to hold himself up.
Yeah.
And he's puking.
It's a good angle.
And so then it got to the point where I continued to hear it, and I was like, okay, if I hear it again, I'm going to join in the game.
Yeah.
So I just need to leave.
Well, that became part of the goal at that point. So he's going to sit here and watch me be in pain. I was like, he might want to hop in.
I was like, okay, what if I leave now and Lloyd vomits again and it like slips on the door, he hits his head on the curb, and he dies?
I'm waiting for something weird to come up. It was just all water again.
Did you dry heave it all?
Oh, yeah.
It was unbelievable.
But
it was unbelievable.
We're at about 65%. Yesterday was closer to 0.
Yes. It was.
You can usually tell with me.
Yeah, but
here we are.
But he got it all out, and here we are
Wednesday?
on this Wednesday morning. Yes, no more throw up Tuesdays.
Yeah,
straight to Wednesday. LSU men's basketball with a win last night. But first off, don't forget we are brought to you every day. We're built by R&B Builders. Rhett and his crew, they do excellent work. We've seen it all throughout, Baton Rouge with friends of the show, people that have, been connected through the show. Rhett does excellent work. Him and his crew are great. They bring you the Jordy Culotta show every single morning. Southern Regional Medical Center brings you the phone line. Today, we have 2 phone guests. We have Jacqu Doucet of WFB 9 Sports, the director, and then Nick Underhill of New Orleans Football will join us to talk about Kellen Moore and the staff that he's assembling in New Orleans.
We might have 2 Nuts buses in Louisiana.
Yes.
And then maybe 2 Nuts buses in New Orleans.
In the program, in the franchise. And then, obviously, we're part of the G Squad, the G team. Get Gordon McKernan and his crew. Christian's got the hat over here. He's going to put it on top of his hat because he has to. 888-88-88.
Rally time.
Get Gordon, get it done. GetGordon.com. Louisiana's big truck injury lawyer. He's also the NIL king. He supports all the universities in the state, not just LSU. But speaking of LSU,
do you think that Gordon is already setting aside Jello shot money for Omaha?
Oh, 100%.
I think you got to start allocating. I think it snuck up on him in 2023.
He might have started last year. Like just being prepared just in case. And it rolled over, and then seeing this year, he's like, okay, now we need to double the funds because this team's for real.
Yeah, I think you show up early and just do 8,888. You might have to do it again, but I would imagine now that he is probably a little bit more prepared. In 2023, he probably hit the pocketbook.
Yes.
Well, shockingly, then Todd Graves came in and hit the pocketbook.
Yep.
Like, this is a blast. But now it's after 4 games of LSU baseball, you could start to see how that painting could become. Okay, we should probably set aside some Omaha time.
Yes,
that's just me.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Just being ahead, just planning.
You can go ahead and make sure your sick days are in order. Your paid time off, make sure it's all in order, because I have a feeling when it gets to Omaha time, you might see some purple and gold there. Because yesterday at 2, you had the first pitch between LSU and Southern, and LSU just went on and dominated and ruled Southern. And I know, the argument's going to be they're not playing that tough of an opponent. This is a Southern team that really dominated LSU last year. I don't remember the final score of that game, Lloyd. Do you remember? Was it? I think it was. They might have scored like 11 or something runs. Southern did on LSU last year. Then you turn around this year, you dominate them, you rule them in 7 innings, and just all in all, a good-looking performance from LSU. LSU basketball gets their 2nd win in a row in the league last night as they take down South Carolina, and what was a pretty good-looking win. The final score of that one was 81-67, and then, of course, you've got women's basketball coming up this Thursday. You've got baseball again tonight, and then more this weekend. So, all in all, yesterday was a good day for LSU. Both baseball and basketball get wins, and it was good vibes around campus, around the box, around the PMAC. Everybody was enjoying it, and it was good to see baseball really dominate. Once again, that's 4 games they've played so far, and 4 games they've dominated. And
Southern beat LSU 12-7.
12-7 last year.
March 22nd.
Say what you want about the level of opponent, this is an opponent that beat them by 5 runs last year. And they go out and they dominate yesterday with a run rule Southern and just more domination from the mound. Me and Lloyd were talking before the show. It's unbelievable that you see, now through these 4 games, we've seen around 15, 16 pitchers get to go. And I haven't seen a pitcher yet that I'm like, oh, they're only playing because it's a blowout, or they're only playing because, they're pitching to this one batter, or they're not going to be a useful tool in the future of this team this season. Every pitcher I've seen pitch so far for LSU is going to be a piece to the puzzle and can be an impact on how far LSU goes this season. And, Lloyd agreed with me this morning that we haven't seen a single pitcher yet that isn't going to have some sort of role on this team. And you are yet to see Gavin Guidry.
Now that I'm going through this list like a fever dream, reading through last year's box score against Southern, I believe it was April 1st, LSU loses 12-7. Jaguars were 8 for 18 and scored 8 of their 12 runs with 2 outs. Like, that was the story last year. It's like you couldn't get out of an inning.
Right.
It was always like struggling to get and put teams away, so that doesn't surprise me at all. But like, you haven't had to face anything like that. Do you want to know who started this game for LSU?
Who was that?
Cade Anderson. So he was your midweek starter to Friday night guy, so that already feels better.
Right.
I'm going to get some other names that we probably won't see. Sammy Dutton, no longer. Pulled in the 5th, 2.1 innings, 2 1/3. Then Christian Little allowed a single and a walk before Justin Lower allowed a walk, a 3-run double, and a 2-run homer. Jesus,
Lord
get him out.
Mercy.
He's now gone, so none of those guys that I just named are on the roster at any point. And then you have Micah Bucknam came in and replaced. I don't even remember that. But you can just see that those names that I just rattled off were people that were put in positions that you had to kind of count on them. You tried to figure out Lower all year. You couldn't figure it out. You tried to figure out Christian Little all year. Couldn't really figure it out. But those are guys that you needed to depend on to be able to make runs and get to Omaha and be able to put games away. And that's a far cry for the bullpen and what it feels like LSU has right now.
100%.
In terms of the pitching. You've seen, how many pitchers do you think you've seen so far? I don't know the numbers.
Yeah, it was 12 before yesterday.
So 15?
So 15, yep.
Yeah, all 15. Like, I know that we had this conversation about Skip saying if you think you have 15, you probably have 8. Jay might not be wrong about saying at least it might not be 15, but it might be 12.
Yeah.
Of guys that can come in and pitch and contribute, because what you saw between whether it be Cade Wood, Zach Cowan, like, those are guys that are going to eat up innings. Like, Zach Cowan was at Wofford, their Friday night guy, and I was coming in relief for a midweek game.
Right.
Like, not only is it impressive that you're able to get these guys on campus, but that they know what their role kind of is. Like, not a lot of people would take a step back from being able to throw on Friday to go, I'll throw the 4th inning against Southern on Tuesday. Like,
No,
that's a pretty – you get in that buy-in to where it's like that's where good teams become great teams, because they all understand the roles and what it takes to win a championship. And it takes things like that to where you take a backseat. Ethan Fry, he hits a 3-run bomb. He's still vying for playing time. And you hear Jay talking about it. It's like, I consider him a starter, but I have a lot of starters. Right. And that's it's a little bit surprising. I think everybody was to see that was the first home run he's hit in an LSU uniform, gets the magic moment. But that was a 3-run bomb. Yeah. And then Stephen Milam gets going. After he's a triple. I guess we could start saying notorious slow starter. He did the same thing last year, but gets his triple. Continues to play a great shortstop. You saw Braswell get tested at third. He made a couple nice plays, and then you can keep going around like the infield if you want. They have one of the most, I guess, an infield with a lot of starts and a lot of innings played. Experience, yes. And that was the one part that you kind of looked around and go, okay, it felt like I could pencil in Bear Jones, Daniel Dickinson, Stephen Milam, Michael Braswell, and then became catcher, and that's still the one part that'll figure itself out. But it feels like 3 options after you see Blaze Priester had a pass ball yesterday, marked it a wild pitch, but I think that was a pass ball. But still, what LSU, and then you continue to see Stanfield play in an unbelievable center field. Gosh. Like, it's when you hear the guys in the booth talk about it, especially like Doug Thompson, who was a pitcher, it's like you have no idea how much confidence that gives you that they're going to track down everything. Yes. Like, you don't mind giving up, hard hit balls to center field or hard balls in the outfield, because he's going to pick him up, put him down, and go get one. And he did it again yesterday where it just seemed so easy for him.
Yeah, no, I saw a tweet put out that center field in Alex Box Stadium might be the most protected area in college baseball. But yeah, I mean, you can tell that the pitchers have an additional confidence because of the guys in the outfield and in the infield behind them. And yesterday you get 7 more strikeouts to 1 walk. So that would make the total, 45-2? That would make it 52-3. 52 strikeouts and 3 walks through 4 games. Which is just filthy. Even on a day where your pitcher's, where's your starter? He gets 2 strikeouts. Cowan comes in, 3 strikeouts. And Woods finishes it off with 2 more strikeouts. It wasn't anything crazy strikeout-wise, but
Kind of did their job.
They did their job, and there's 1 base on balls. Like there's only 1 time that you walked a batter and put yourself in that tough position. I would love to see the stats on how often LSU pitchers get behind in counts, because it really doesn't feel like it's very often. Like I feel like every time I'm looking, it's 1-2, 2-2, 0-1. Like very rarely is it a 3-1 count or a 3-2 count or a 3-0 count.
I think you had Cowan. No, it was Connor Ware. I think he had 2. Didn't he have the 1 walk?
Yes.
Yeah, he had the 1 walk. He got behind at a 3-0 count twice, one of which he battled back for a strikeout. The other one was his lone walk. So, yeah, it's not happening often. They're getting ahead of hitters.
Yes.
These are stats that I guess baseball probably does keep, and we'll be able to, kind of track it throughout the year. But, yeah, like pitchability, the ability to get ahead in counts, and that was the problem last year. And you could see that it's been, at least up to this point, alleviated a little bit, where you go out there and throw strikes. Your offense is going to play.
Yes.
And you're going to be able to put runs up. But don't give away freebies. That was the Brownsville play I was talking about. But, don't make it harder on yourself than it has to be. If you go out and throw strikes, play good defense, and then you have so many offensive weapons. That's a great play, too. That, if you have guys like Ethan Fry that come in and DH and hit 3-run homers, there's so many opportunities to score runs on this offense. So, Curiel goes 3 for 3 again, freshman. Daniel Dickinson, another 2 RBI day. Stephen Milan with a triple. It's just, they come at you in waves, man.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's impressive. Just the way that they're going to be able to win baseball games in so many different manners. And to me, I heard one thing Jay said in the presser where he was talking about kind of creating your own player, that they have so much depth at different spots that you can kind of pick who you want, where you want, take different skill sets from different guys and create your own All-American. Whether it's Fry's bat where you can sub him in for, Stanfield to let one ride over the fence, and then you put Curiel in center to play defense, where you're just kind of creating your own All-American with all these pieces that he has. It's unbelievable the amount of depth that LSU has defensively and offensively as well when it comes to the outfield, the infield, all the way around. This is a stacked roster. And we're 4 games in against not SEC or Power 4 competition. I understand that. But everything you've seen so far from LSU, especially defensively, is going to play. When it comes to the things that you're seeing on the mound, you're seeing guys throw pitches that I don't care who's in the box. Some of these off-speed pitches aren't getting touched, and they're going to get whoever's hitting.
Yeah, well, it showed that when you have a guy like Connor Ware come in,
right?
Cowan come in, those are 2 different versions of what you've seen from the pitching staff. You had the guys over the weekend that felt like everybody was throwing 95 to 97.
Yes.
This is a different way to get people out, and there's a role for that, whether it be come in, throw strikes, be able to move the ball around, get a double play. It's not always going to be this, hey, we're attacking every hitter with just all we do is throw hard. There's different ways to get people out, and that's why I said that there's roles for everybody on this team, because that's a different role. And I've never seen the stat before, but it feels like something Jay would pay attention to, and it's LSU had 18 consecutive quality at-bats. I don't know how you I don't know
He
what's
said
deemed
that-
a quality at bat, but here he is.
I thought, so I saw something that I don't know that I've ever seen before. We had 18 quality at bats in a row at one point, and regardless of score or competition day in baseball, that's really hard to do. And I thought again we had a bad at bat in the first. It didn't allow us to kind of separate a little more, and then we had a good inning. It was an odd inning in the third where, 6 guys in a row came up and took a quality at bat or hit the ball hard, and we only ended up with 1 run out of it. To nobody's fault. It's baseball sometimes. And then really broke through in the next inning. So thought it was a good day offensively.
Yeah.
I thought it was good. I thought, so I saw something that I don't.
I'm going to let you take it away after I read this. Spectrum Wellcare in the chat says, can we wait till LSU plays Tennessee or Arkansas before we proclaim this team the best ever? I don't feel like those were. Have I said that it's a very deep team? Yes.
Oh, no, but yeah.
Beyond skilled.
Sure.
Beyond talented.
Nothing is. No, I don't think LSU is even in the conversation of saying that they're the best team in the league by far, and I'd be shocked if they didn't win the SEC. That's not what I'm saying at all. I've been watching other teams around the country play college baseball. Georgia's really good this year. Tennessee is mollywhopping teams. Florida is good this year. It's never a guarantee that you'll do anything in conference play. I'm just saying the way that this is set up, the way that LSU has been playing, it is you feel like you can compete with these teams now, and it's not a far cry to say so. I felt like last year, I would be shocked to see the same sort of start that you saw in SEC play last year, this year. Yeah. That's all I'm saying. I think the expectations should be higher because I think they're better. And that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying the best team of all time. I'm saying I think that they are the more inclined to be at the top of the SEC than struggling to get to the SEC tournament. But lest we forget, I believe everybody gets to the tournament this year.
Yep.
There's no more having to play your way into the tournament, which that should never be a question for LSU anyway. Last year, that was a question.
Well, and
you had
right
to
now,
get some SEC wins to be able to even become eligible.
Yes. And right now, and Lloyd, I'm going to ask you this question. After 4 games, when you talk about strengths and weaknesses, what to you have you seen that are weaknesses of this team so far through 4 games?
Weaknesses of LSU baseball?
Yep. Through these first 4 games, what have you seen that you're like, they need to figure that out? That's, to me, where this discussion comes from.
Mm-hmm.
It's because all you've seen is domination so far. And I understand the level of opponent. But, regardless of who you play, blemishes will show up.
Right.
And you haven't seen that through 4 games.
No, it's consistently good baseball.
Right.
You don't have to go very far to go back. I just read the Southern game from last year. Do you know how infuriating that probably was for Jay? And, God, I could see why he came on mic'd up. Said, I don't know why people – he was like, I don't think we were very good last year. And that's him after the year being able to finally, look back at it. When you're in it,
right,
you'll never think that. You'll never say it. But now he has a team to compare it to. He knew what 2023 was.
Right.
2024, I don't think we're very good. Now in 2025, I think he does think that they're very good. And so I don't think it's a far cry because there's teams that would drop a game like this. And it could happen. But for right now – was you're able to roll out 15 pitchers and all of them look like they can play? You've scored 45 runs in 4 games. Yeah, I feel good about that. And the efficiency in what you're doing it on the mound. Cowan's line, 3 innings pitched, 2 hits, 1 run, 3 Ks, 45 pitches. It's not a strain for these guys to get up there and get outs. So that's where I have my confidence in it. And when you ask if there's one thing or if there's a cause of concern, it might be catcher or finding consistency throughout the lineup for the entirety of the year and putting all the pieces in the right spot when you have to do it that way. When you talk about having an Ethan Fry and building the All-American, he's looking at it in totality of a lineup, and that's on Jay. He had to do it last year where it was plug and play, and a lot of guys couldn't get comfortable because they didn't know if they were playing or not.
Right.
That problem doesn't go away. But now it feels like you have more defined guys that understand their role, and it becomes a little bit easier whenever they went through what they went through last year, and now you're able to kind of get used to playing that style of baseball where Ashton Larson doesn't play on opening day, but he plays Saturday, Sunday.
Right.
Like, okay, as long as I understand that I'm going to get opportunities and going to be able to play, I'm cool with it. Because, like I said at the onset, they want to win a championship.
Right.
And that's what it takes.
We talk about the bond this team has. I brought it up on, was that Sunday? I brought it up on Sunday when we were doing the watch party. That, you know, I spoke to DJ Primo, one of the pitchers, Saturday. You know, one of my buddies was talking to him, and, you know, he just said this is the closest team that he's been a part of, where it's just they are best friends. They care about one another. They want to win for each other, which is where it comes in, where problems aren't going to arise in these points Lloyd's making, where it's who's going to get the start today, who's playing there today. That's going to be something stressful for the coaching staff to figure out. But the players are going to be ready when their name gets called, and if their name doesn't, they're going to support whoever's does because they're tight. They're a team, you know?
Like, this is the conversation that I don't mind having, and this is, like, I see this as a compliment. Like, Andrew Messina, where was behind the count more than he should have been yesterday? If that's what we're looking at, if that's what we're nitpicking to try to find
a problem,
I'm good with that if he's starting off 2-0 and battles back and gets 3 strikeouts and
still
has one walk.
walked one batter.
Right. Like, I get it, because that is something that if you're trying to find a negative, like, I guess, like, so you go from A to A minus. Like, I'm cool with that.
One of your 15 pitchers that have pitched through 4 games?
Because if that does happen in a situation in which it's a tight baseball game, he'll get pulled.
Yeah.
And because you have enough arms to be able to do that.
100%. 100%. Because you've seen it. And Andrew Messina makes another good point, as well as Spectrum Railcar chiming in.
Yes.
Getting to see Guidry tonight. I think that will be a nice, you know, little pulse check on another big part of this team, because Gavin Guidry is a huge piece of this puzzle that you have not seen yet through 4 games. And so getting to see what it looks like for Gavin tonight against Nichols, because I think everyone expects Gavin Guidry to pitch tonight against Nichols. I don't know in what capacity. Lloyd, I don't know if you have a better idea of what you think his role will look like tonight, whether that's starting, relief, or what have you. But I would very much not be surprised if he's the guy starting on the bump tonight for LSU.
No, I'm pulling up a clip.
It's been fun really watching him compete.
Yeah, here we go. This is talking about Gavin Guidry.
Okay.
And what he's brought to the table.
It's been awesome to watch. You know, through the fall, they've been extending him a little bit, and so it's been good to watch him, you know, go longer than he has been. So it's been fun really watching him compete. You know, he's an electric pitcher, and I know he's ready to go. And so he's been a great teammate, and so I'm excited to see him go.
I mean, and that's what it feels like that has been the role that I guess they're trying to carve out for him. I don't know if he is going to be a starter on a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, so it'll be interesting just to see him go extended innings, and if this is something that they've been working on, because when I went to scrimmages, he was a guy that threw at the beginning of games where it was multiple innings and not that kind of, what was he put on a preseason award list for, like, stopper of the year?
Yes.
I don't know if they're trying to translate this into, hey, he comes in if somebody's struggling in the 5th and he can get you through to the 8th.
Yeah.
And then they want to use some of those power arms, because he's a great testament to, like I said, where you can mix up pitching, because he's not 98.
Right.
He's 91, 93 with the curveball. And
it's a nice change of pace.
Yeah, and then you could bring in, like, oh, it looks a little bit different, but he's going to attack you and pitch differently. I think that will be – it's probably the most uncomfortable part of the baseball team to me right now, is seeing how this role kind of fills itself out, because whenever I saw him start a game, he got himself in some trouble. He walked guys. He was pitching from behind, but he still got out the inning. Like, he dug deep after walking a guy, giving up a first to third single, and then I don't think he gave up a run, and that was with nobody out.
Right. Yeah, so I mean
But I think that's the biggest question mark right now, to see where he fits in, and because even if he is able to start, where you put him? Does he want to be a midweek starter? I don't think so.
No, I think he wants to be somebody that plays a role on the weekend. But I don't foresee a weekend, a Friday, Saturday, Sunday starting role opening up anytime soon for anybody. Just the way Anderson, Ianson, Shores looked and the expectations that are had for them, But I do think, like Lloyd said, this role for Guidry is a massive puzzle piece for this LSU football team. And I think tonight is one of those nights where you'll see kind of that role start to get ironed out and figured out as LSU takes on Nichols in Thibodaux. I think, and it is tonight, so it will be chilly. It'll be a little nippy out when the Tigers hit the diamond. But like Dylan said in the chat, can take this pitching staff anywhere.
Absolutely.
That's where my confidence resides more than anything when this baseball team is, like I said at the start, 15 pitchers we've seen pitch so far. I, as a viewer of the team, and I would assume Jay as well, are confident in all 15 to play a serious role for this team, which is unheard of. That you've pitched 15 guys, and I haven't seen one that I've been like, okay, that was just to get him a turn.
Right. It wasn't an innings eater.
Right.
It's
at
like
all.
You want to see where all these guys are, but when you look at the pitching game by game, like you've had 27 innings pitched, you've been up 14 hits, 2 runs, 45 strikeouts.
One walk this weekend. 2 walks.
With a cumulative ERA of .67.
Oh.
And I'm looking to see who hasn't pitched yet, and I think that's it. I think you've thrown Primo, Anderson, Schmidt, Evans, Ben, Shores, Ianson, Newt, Williams, Myers, Rizzi, Fontenot. I think Guidry is he the only one left that hasn't pitched yet?
He's the odd man out.
And that's what it says to me. Like they're trying to get he would start then.
Right.
Tonight. And it doesn't have to be he's going 6 innings, but I think you probably get through 3 or 4, and you'll see what I thought they would do yesterday, which is like continue to work some of these guys in like 3 inning increments. Like that was set up for it to be like for Cade Woods to be able to get his 3 innings in, but you 10-runned him, and he came in throwing heat, gas.
Yeah, I mean he came in and he threw 1.
2 strikeouts, 1 inning, and then got you out of there. But I think that was the plan, was have everybody get the same amount of innings, where it was 3, 3, 3, and you were able to work on everybody, but it just happened to 10 run them.
Yep.
Which was probably, I think they knew that was a possibility.
Yes. And it's good knowing that you're going into a game the next day, a nice little back-to-back. Don't forget that we are live on 2 different YouTube channels. Right now we're live here on New Orleans.Football Network, and we're live on the Jordy Culotta Show YouTube channel, because when March comes around, March 1, at the end of this month, we will be live only on the Jordy Culotta Show YouTube channel. Everything will be moved back there. The 7 to 9 daily show will originate on the Jordy Culotta Show YouTube channel, not here on New Orleans.Football. We will still have content that lives on this channel with New Orleans.Football, but this is something we've worked out with Nick, that this was the way that we probably should have handled it from the jump. And so we're going back. We're going to fix some of our mistakes so that this partnership can really blossom and grow into something that's beneficial for everyone. So don't forget, through February, we'll be live on both channels. But when March 1st gets here, the 7 to 9 daily show will originate on the Jordy Culotta Show YouTube channel and the Jordy Culotta Show YouTube channel only. There will still be content that lives here, but make sure you're subscribed over there and the notification bell is on both channels, but especially on the Jordy Culotta Show YouTube channel, just in case you forget. So you know where to find us on March 1st. You're not confused, where's the Culotta Show? It's on the Culotta Show YouTube channel from 7 to 9 live as we move back there. So we appreciate you guys this morning. Obviously, baseball will get back after it tonight against Nichols. And you'll get to see some more, pitching. Gavin Guidry on the bump, which I think, like we said, is the biggest storyline remaining for LSU. Andrew Messina in the chat says Guidry gets through 3+, and then I bet Coach Jay Johnson goes matchups the rest of the night.
Mm-hmm.
I would be surprised if it's something different. Bless you.
Thank you.
They asked in the presser yesterday if I think Jacob Myers gets the nod tonight because
Dude, this game was on crap last night.
I didn't see that. Put it back up there.
Look, it's 6 to
You saw it?
It's 6-4.
Yeah, this is
Georgia Kennesaw State.
A huge moment in the game.
But he knows Wes Johnson got got run so he could do whatever he wants because there's coach isn't there, and he is acting like the tweet is psychotic closer behavior. That's why I just thought of it because of this.
Gavin Guidry.
Don't be shocked if Gavin Guidry pulls something like this out in a big time moment.
Hey.
But that's what I'm saying. When Georgia's in a 6-4 game against Kennesaw State, and LSU was 10 running teams that play, like that's the kind of things that I'm looking around. Like Georgia won and it was competitive, but LSU hasn't really been in that spot yet.
Right.
And that's just them taking care of business. So that's why I continue to be high on LSU baseball.
That's what great teams do. Like, good teams play well, whatever. Great teams take care of business and don't really give you an opportunity to think anything else. And that's where my current confidence in this team resides. And so we're going to take a quick break here as we are rolling through hour number 1.
Auburn had to walk off Troy.
Don't bring up that university.
Which one?
Troy.
Why?
What do you mean, why?
Oh, the Ed
Just
Orgeron era?
Yeah, bad memories. It's just every time I hear it, I get
1-1
PTSD'd right back there.
That was an all-time game to have to stay for. Not the
It's my sophomore homecoming.
Yeah.
We're sitting at the restaurant. You know, I'm in my tie and my dress pants and whatever. I'm hating the current.
Great. And you think like, oh, at least it's Troy.
Yep.
So I can do homecoming.
Yep.
Turns out you're gonna. Maybe it's your fault.
No, it was my fault. Yeah. Actually, that season, every time that I was with my buddy Caleb, LSU lost a football game.
That's happened to me multiple times, and
so I swore off
Caleb,
watching games with him. I was like,
we're just taking it just in general.
Nothing. Saturday, I can't see you because that was the Troy game. I was with him when LSU lost the 37-7 Mississippi State loss. Nick Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
And then Alabama that year. We watched it all together. Actually got in a golf cart crash as well, so should probably stay away from them also. But we'll have Jacqu Doucet from WFB9 Sports, the director, will be here at 8:10 this morning, and it'll be followed up with Nick Underhill talking Saints football. So we're going to take a quick break. Then we'll close out hour number 1 and get Jacqu Doucet set up.
Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by A-Bears Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, A-Bears Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. A-Bears can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-8022. A-Bears Lawn Maintenance.
Are you looking for sound financial advice? Then get in touch with Daniel Newman of Edward Jones. You can call him today at 225-261-8262 or email him daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. If you're planning for retirement, saving for college, for children or grandchildren, or just looking for sound investment opportunities, get in touch with Daniel today, 225-261-8262, located on Magnolia Square Drive in Central. Daniel Newman of Edward Jones.
Well, the Oscar Andrews Sports Medicine Institute collaborative effort was an idea from Dr. Andrews and myself to bring together two great names, the Andrews name and the Ochsner name, to elevate the quality of care for athletes in the state of Louisiana, where he's from.
I always thought I would come back to Louisiana and practice orthopedics with my subspecialty being sports medicine. This was an opportunity through Ochsner's to come back and work the entire state to help develop and take sports medicine to a new level.
As an orthopedic surgeon, what this means in the future in terms of, access for our community to the type of care that Dr. Andrews pioneered, words can't describe how valuable that is.
Ochsner has a great opportunity here to really grow, and Dr. Burnham, of course, is the mainstay of making that happen. If you want to have first-class sports medicine care, check in with Dr. Burnham and his group, and you'll be more than impressed and pleased.
Fourier Insurance Agency, established in 1946, helping you with your home, auto, commercial, life and health insurance needs. Around in Baton Rouge at 4275 Government Street and online at FourierAgency.com. Whatever insurance you're in the market for, home, auto, commercial, contractors, life and health, get in touch with Fourier Insurance Agency, FourierAgency.com, or give them a call at 225-383-0682. Fourier Agency.
Get Gordon. And get it done. Yeah, everybody know Gordon in a 225. He done link with Big Four. He got buku ties, Ferrari sliding, flying in a new coupe ride. And every time I ride by, I see a brand new sign. I'm with Gordon. I know that he gon' get it done. Whether it's a big truck crash or a hit and run, recovery funds, he fighting to get a ton. Mike Epps, man, we all about the Benjamin. Handling injuries, man, are you kidding me? Gordon McKernan, that's champion energy. Yeah, family man with a family plan. Get Gordon, he gon' fix it like a handyman. Gordon, and get it done.
Welcome to Trifecta.
Trifecta Sports Therapy in Baton Rouge. Recover, repair, restore. At Trifecta, they believe in total body wellness. Trifecta gets the body back to its full potential. Whether you're a youth or pro athlete, a pre or postnatal mom, or if you lead an active lifestyle or a senior citizen, Trifecta has the class, the sports massage, the sports therapist, the stretch therapist, or the equipment like infrared sauna, cold plunges, and golf simulators to find your best. Find Trifecta online at trifectasportstherapy.com or check out the beautiful facility today, 8221 Goodwood. Trifecta Sports Therapy.
Hey, Tiger fans, when traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, make sure to visit us, Tom and Wright Granning, at Go Mart on the Go Deli.
Go Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you may need on your trip.
Located at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on your left.
Also stop by Wardo's Po' Boys at 309 North Broadway on the beautiful Natchez Bluff,
where everyone is family.
Got chores that need some extra muscle, but a large piece of equipment is overkill? That's what John Deere compact utility tractors were made for. Powerful enough for the work you need to do. Compact enough for how you need to do it. Find the equipment that's right for you at Sunshine Quality Solutions. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
You ever seen a living legend, just know that I'm it. Slow grind like IT, just know that I'm it. Now I'm back up in my bag, I'm giving them fits. Bounce the bat like John Morant, you know that I'm lit. Making plays like Jack Bash, I'm never gonna sit. Had to be patient, so I waited for the situation. Now that I'm focused, I'ma take it with no hesitation. The hard times that I hated gave me inspiration. Look in the eyes from my kids gave me motivation. Bounce back, can't let you fold up. Keep pushing, can't let you slow up. Bounce back, can't let you fold up. Keep pushing, can't let you slow up. Bounce back, can't let you fold up. Keep pushing, can't let you slow up. Bounce back, can't let you fold up. Keep pushing, can't let you slow up.
All right, welcome back in here.
All right,
on the Jordy Culotta Show on this beautiful Wednesday morning. Obviously, we started y'all with some baseball talk as they get going tonight
again
against Nichols in Thibodaux in the chilly weather. So it'll be interesting to see how those bats are moving in the cold, because Jay's done all he can to try to avoid the chilly games as he bumps some games up to 2 p.m. first pitches to get away from the chilly weather. But a nice little write-up we saw yesterday from Julie Boudouin on 3, the Bengal Tiger, talking about LSU and this dynamic duo at linebacker with Harold Perkins, Whit Weeks, and defensive coordinator Blake Baker, who specializes in the position. There's a nice little tidbit brought up in the write-up where it says Perkins will be back at the star linebacker role under the defensive coordinator Blake Baker. Here's a quote from Blake. Says, we're going to put Perkins at star, but I think it's kind of good. I do think he's more comfortable at star. I think he gives us a little more position flexibility. I completely agree. I think that when I originally heard that the star position was being added to LSU's defense, I thought it was perfect for Harold Perkins. Like I thought the reason the position was created was for Perkins to play it. Now, obviously, Major Burns played a lot there. You saw Devon Keys get mixed in there a little bit. But it goes on the right to say the hybrid role of star is something that blends linebacker and safety duties, and it's expected to benefit LSU's Harold Perkins, his versatility and athletic abilities. So I thought star was the perfect position for Perk, and I'm excited that right now on February 19th, you see Blake Baker and Perkins addressing it, discussing it, and putting it in the works now so that you can go through a spring with it, you go through a fall with it, and everything is handled and figured out before you get to the season. So it's not a Perks playing middle linebacker and then week 4 of the season, we think it'll be a better fit at star, let's move him over. Right now, you're allowing him to get comfortable and used to the position and work his way through it through spring and fall. So I personally think this is a great move for LSU. This is a great move for Blake Baker and this defense. And it's a great way to get Perkins and Whit Weeks on the field at the same time in positions that are going to bring the most out of them. Because to me, when Perk went down, you saw Whit kind of slide into that key cog middle linebacker role. And you're not going to have to move him around to get Perkins back into that spot. You allow to put Perk in a position that's going to bring the most out of his abilities and keep Whit Weeks where he was averaging 15 tackles a game. So I think this is going to be a great move. And Blake Baker goes on to say, I think when Whit's being high energy, it allows Perk to kind of be more of himself and kind of in the weeds. And then whenever Perk, does go off, I promise you Whit's going to be the first one on his helmet. So I think that's a good yin-yang. 100%.
So I did find some actual. There's a guy we've previously been on the show, Max Toscano, did a huge write up on this as to why this is not going to work, because you do have instances of this being the situation or this being attempted and it hasn't worked. And so he just goes on to explain. I'm gonna read some of this and be a little bit long form, but I think it's worth it. So for Max, LSU is once again attempting to use Harold Perkins at the star. They've already tried this, and the relief from the schematic limitations it imposes are why the defense improved over the back half of the season last year. What is star, and why doesn't this plan work? First, we must establish what the star is. In this defense, like many others that use the term Saban, Kirby Smart, it's the slot defender on the back end. You must have 2 safeties and 2 corners. If you're a nickel, like teams must be on most snaps now, the star is a 5th DB. So the reason you want your star to be a DB in the modern day is simple. You need the multiplicity and coverage that 5 DBs get you. With 5 DB bodies, your menu is drastically expanded as the 5th guy can go more places and do more things in coverage. If you want to play specialized coverage or disguise, you must be a nickel. LSU has tried this twice, both in 2023 and 2024. When your slot defender is a linebacker, you're pigeonholed into only a couple of different, very static worlds in coverage. So what he's saying essentially is that there's more to it, but he's saying it limit having Perk, and maybe this is where I think the conversation of it being Perk is interesting, because you don't know if he can't cover yet. Like it feels like they were running a version of star with Perk, but it was also like they treated him like a linebacker.
Yeah.
And if Perk comes back and wants to play in a role where he is in coverage and has to be, and they don't, because this is where I think it gets interesting. Because the first rule you must understand is that somebody must be covering over the slot in the formation, or else they'll throw bubble screens every play. If they want to play 2 high safety, you need the star to be walked out over the slot. That's what they got away with, like wouldn't let Perk do. It's like they wanted to try to keep him in the box, but also you need to be lined up over a man, because that's what the defense intends you to do.
Right.
But they wanted to keep it so it's easy for offenses to take Perk out the box and take what he does probably the best away. So if he's not allowed to line up in the box and become a rush end, or at least that be a threat, that's where I think this breaks down.
Yeah.
Like in terms of you can't really do what you want to do defensively, or you have to have multiple people play the star and Perk move him around. But that's where you get back to what happened, and I guess it was 2023 where he got lost.
Right. And that's
because
the one
you
thing
asked
you
him
don't
to do
want to happen.
you asked him to do too many things instead of ask him to not really do anything. Go be special. And
Right.
so that's where I think this raises a lot of questions where what changed? If it didn't work and like the rules and the principles applied the same way, what would make you think that this would work the third time around as opposed to the other two? And I think that the sell is, well, you get to have Whit Weeks and Perk on the same field. Like, that's
Right.
cool and all. But if this is how teams are going to attack you, where you essentially just move Perk on the boundary, because why wouldn't you? That, to me, eliminates the thing that now you don't have to worry about him as much.
Right. And I think I do agree with that, and I understand that if I'm an offensive coordinator and I understand Harold Perkins is going to be in the slot position, I'm going to space him out as much as I can to get him away from my quarterback and get him away from being in the mix on everything. But I do think that a lot of the reason why this has come up now is because of the rise of Whit Weeks and trying to make sure that you keep Whit in a position where he's going to be the most effective as he was last year. Because now it's not all falling on Harold Perkins' plate. He doesn't have to make every play, because you saw Whit Weeks and a Harold Perkins-less defense go out and make play after play after play against Ole Miss, against Arkansas, against SEC competition. And I also think that one of the bigger differences, and Andrew Messina says it in the chat, is this time the defensive coordinator that's trying to make it work isn't Matt House. It's Blake Baker. And that's kind of where my confidence in this move comes from, is that Blake Baker's inputting it right now in February, and I would be surprised if he's not going to have exhausted all options. And the other thing is, if he puts it in February and it doesn't work during spring ball, he's got fall and he's got through the summer and into the fall to figure it out before the season comes around. So, like, to me, figure it out now, test it out now, and see what happens. And if it's creating where Harold Perkins is a non-factor, well, then now you got to go back to the drawing board and make him a factor. But I'd rather it be started to get figured out in March than moving him around all over the place during the middle of the season. Because to me, that he was getting schemed out of the play against USC in game number 1 when he was playing middle linebacker. And that's just part of why you have Perkins on your team at this point, is teams are going to scheme for him, and it's going to allow other people to blossom, like a Braden Swinson, like he did last year, where he was able to play off of Harold Perkins, and offenses are looking at 7. Well, here comes number 4 off the edge. Well, now you're going to get to see Harold Perkins and Whit Weeks on the field together, and one of them is going to create opportunities for the other. But I also think one thing that plays a big part in this is, what does Harold Perkins' body look like? Mm-hmm. Because you saw before last season, he wanted to be more of an inside linebacker, in the box type of guy, and he bulked up. He put weight on. And I think if he is back into that freshman frame, the frame he had when he was a freshman, he was rushing off the end, and he looked more like a safety type guy, that will tell you that he's ready to do whatever role LSU needs him, and that's going to only raise his versatility. So if you're worried about him in coverage, if he's slimmed down and back in that freshman frame, he's going to be prepared to do whatever's necessary, and he's going to be able to cover. Because you saw him cover well in 2023. There were times, he got matched up with Luther Burden in the Missouri game and got a pick. And so I trust Blake Baker and Harold Perkins to figure this out starting now in February, rather than waiting until October and saying, oh, we did something wrong, let's figure this out. No, get it out the way, figure it out now. Because I do understand what Lloyd's saying, where or in the write-up by Toscano, where it's, offensive coordinators are going to try to scheme him out of the play. That's going to happen regardless of where he's at, to me.
Good, and that's where I agree. He's good. Obviously, he's good enough where people will know where he is at all times. But this is how Toscano wraps it up. This is in no way like me saying that this is the take that I want to have, or that this is just how he wraps up his synopsis. The solution is simple. Use him as a third down attack dog, a designated rusher and quarterback spy. That's it. A sheltered but high-impact role where he no longer imposes limitations and can avoid weaknesses, as the reality in obvious pass situations is totally different for the D. A high-leverage reliever, but not a starter. And I get that because that's what you saw him do best. Whenever it became, he single-handedly wins you the Arkansas game because of using that strategy. He single-handedly had an impact on the Alabama game because of using that strategy. So I think there is a world in which you overcomplicate it by trying to give Perk more to do whenever, in reality, this might be who he is. Somebody that can impact and change the game by coming off the edge, and that's all he really does. But if you want to keep trying to put him in position because you want to utilize all of his talent, but it becomes, well, the scheme doesn't work with him like this because of you're trying to put a square peg in a round hole.
Right.
Like, I think that the answer is, it is obvious what he's the best, like what his best features are, is it not?
Right. Yeah.
Like rush edge and attack the quarterback.
Yeah, 100%. His speed in those two arenas, one being off the edge and the other being as a QB spy, are 100% what you've seen him be the most successful at.
It just feels like it doesn't have to be that complicated.
Right.
Where you're trying to find, like, he wants to play, or put him at middle linebacker, put him at star. Put him what you did the first time you saw him play, and everybody thought he was the best player in the country.
Right. No, and I agree. But to me, my confidence and trust in this current situation is in Blake Baker. Like it is Blake Baker in March ahead of the season. Figure it out. You know,
I get that.
He's going to put him in the best position to be successful.
But it's like if you say, figure it out, or maybe if it doesn't work, you can move on to something. It's like that just feels like I don't want to say like a waste of time, but it's at some point you do have to get there and you do have to play Clemson, and then you're like, well, we use this for 3 weeks, and now wait, we want to put Perk here. What do we have to do to change the diet? Like you're just jerking him around again, and it's like if it doesn't look good, you don't have the luxury of rolling it out, trying it, not changing it, and then look exactly like it did. When you're like, this isn't right. We should be doing something else. Like, and then you lose to Clemson.
Well, that's what spring football's for.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. That he's not been given the proper coaching at the right position if he's going to not play that. If you do it in spring and then you have to advance your timeline and change it again, that's the only thing that I'm looking at because Clemson is going to, if you put him at the star, they're going to attack him.
Yes.
And they're not going to let him get to the quarterback. They're going to use all of those things that he said where he's going to have to line up over somebody in the slot, and they're going to attack him with bubble quarterback option attacks and line him up. And if it's one-on-one where you have to rotate to have a one high safety,
right?
Clemson has 3 guys that they can throw it to, and they got a pretty good quarterback.
Right. No, and I understand. But to me, another thing that's a big difference between now and then is this is the deepest defense Harold Perkins is going to be a part of since his freshman year. You know, when I was on the Sports Talk 97.7 show with Sean Fox, he asked me about this LSU roster and if it was the deepest one since Kelly's been here. And I said definitely defensively. You know, I think year one there was a pretty deep defense because of guys like Ojulari and Roy and Ward that stuck around. But this is the deepest defense Harold Perkins will be a part of with one of the best defensive coordinators in the country. And so yeah, I mean, if teams are going to scheme Perkins out of it with a bubble screen or whatever, and there's so many other weapons at the disposal, and the reason why, to me, it's okay to figure it out in spring is because if we all know what Harold Perkins is good at and excellent at, and he's going to find success from our perspective, saying he's a rush end, he's going to go get the quarterback, he's going to be a quarterback spy, what have you. Blake Baker knows that, and if they want to test it out at Star, see how it works. If it doesn't work, throughout fall camp and into the season, he's a rush in. That's how it goes. You know, like to me, that's
because
kind of the situation. If that's going to be Harold Perkins' best role, if that's where he's going to be most successful, is as a rush end. That's just his nature. It shouldn't be that hard to adjust him back to that if the star role doesn't work.
Yeah, and you don't have to really, because it felt like there's a lot of conversation about this is what they want to do for him for the NFL. Now you don't have any eligibility to really play with. You know what I'm saying? Like there's no threat of him leaving.
This is for LSU, not for the NFL.
And now it's, well, we tried to make you happy for 3 years. Here you go. You just play. I'm telling you, this is probably what's going to work out in your best interest because there's no portal anymore. He's on the football team.
Yep.
He's not going. The threat of the NFL is gone, and so that might just become a little bit of a different conversation you have with him. If they're going to experiment anything, and I don't know if the star is really the same thing, but I wanted to see him at like safety. Still do. Just that, like, if we're going to experiment, I'd love to see him back in a 2 deep and see what he does. Obviously, they see it more than I do.
Right.
But if he comes back and you talk about like body type, I think he's got such explosive quickness in the short area that obviously that's how he wins at the line of scrimmage. I think that plays, and I've seen him be able to take it 90 in high school on a 6A football field at running back. So I know he can go. I just think that's where you can maximize him the most, and it's getting him in space to be a playmaker, not having to line him up over the slot. And that was like you're playing with so much rule and like what you have to do as opposed to letting him kind of run around and just be a freak athlete.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you'll ever see that.
And I guess, as he's coming off of injury, it'll be interesting to see what it looks like in March.
Yeah.
During spring football. Coming back from injury, figuring out the new positions. I think obviously that'll be one of the biggest storylines. But that's one of the things that I'm going to be looking at the second we get out there for spring football is, okay, is Park on the field? Where's he at? What's it look like? Because when we were there for fall camp, Harold Perkins was making every single play for the defense.
Mm-hmm.
Every play. And then against USC, they made it a USC and Lincoln Riley, it was their goal to do everything away from number 7.
Right, and that's influencing the game in its own right.
And that's why I think making sure you can find a role to have him and Whit Weeks on the field together as much as possible, it just gives them even more things they have to worry about. Because then they have to scheme up, okay, well, there's Patrick Payton on the edge. There's Don McKinley and, Jacoby and Guillory in the middle. We've got Harold Perkins and Whit Weeks both on the outside.
Relaford.
And then you've got Gabe Relaford rushing off the edge. You've got DJ Pickett in the defensive backfield. That's where the depth of this defense really starts to come about is when, who are you going to scheme against?
Who's going to play in the middle?
So, it's – are you talking about the middle, linebacker?
Mm-hmm.
Whit Weeks, I think Devon Keys.
I think, Devon Keys, good pick.
I think he has –
because like you said, when you put it that way, when you put it – you have Peyton coming off the edge, but you also have – this is what Seville says. With the big bodies they have now, I'm confident they'll have more success in the 3-man fronts with Perk or Weeks coming off the edge. That sounds great to me.
Right.
Having those big, Jacoby and Guillory, Don McKinley.
Sadir Mitchell from Texas, the
right.
big guy.
You can eat up some space, and then you have people that can absolutely fly off the edge, whether it's Patrick Payton or Whit Weeks or Harold Perkins or Gabe Relaford.
Right.
It's a different-looking defense where you're –
Kalaj Cobbins.
Yeah.
Sneaky.
That would be pretty fun.
Yeah. No, I agree. And that when you really start to go down the list of just the depth that this LSU defense has compared to years of the past, last season when you're looking at this LSU defense, you're going, okay, Harold Perkins, Jacoby and Guillory. Outside of that, who's going to step up? Does Alexander's come back from injury? Well, then Guillory and Perkins go down, and you have the rise of Braden Swinson. As he had 8 sacks, you saw Whit Weeks turn into who he is, and things like that. So this roster being as deep as it is on the defensive end is just going to help Perkins, and that's to me why I am a fan of this move of him being at star. It's because it gets him on the field more, and that's going to create for him to have the opportunity to make more plays, especially when him and Whit are there together and Patrick Payton's on the field, and just go down the list. Like I said, if he can be on the field as much as possible, it's going to lead to success. So every day we're brought to you by Katie's Restaurant New Orleans. Katie's Restaurant in Mid-Cities. It's a neighborhood restaurant for the entire city. They have, the great cuisine, the good food, cold beer. The game is on. The service is great. New Orleans is riding this high since the Super Bowl where everybody's loving the culture, the city. So when you get down there, make sure you hit up Francesca's and Katie's, the sister restaurants there in Mid-City. We're going to be right back with Jacqu Doucet to get our number 2 up and rolling right after this.
We know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Click Here Digital, the home of the Jordy Culotta Show. Online at clickheredigital.com. If you're looking to set Google ads, set social media campaigns, learn about SEO, display video, or even creative, Click Here Digital has the answer for you. Online at clickheredigital.com or email me directly, Jordy at clickheredigital.com.
Family calls family. That saying resonates even more as your family grows. And we can't seem to stop growing. Meet the newest member of the Get Gordon family, Penny's cousin Rosie. Rosie already knows, the larger your family, the more people you have to lift you up during trying times. Just like at Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys, we've grown to over 200 team members with over 50 local attorneys. So whether you pick Penny, employ Ellie, roll with Rosie, or Get Gordon, we want to be your lawyers for life.
Your lawyers for life.
Phil's Oyster Bar, a staple of South Louisiana since 1945, located in Southdown Shopping Center and online at philsoysterbar.com. If you log online, you can learn about the private party schedule, the catering menu, and even order online. Daily lunch specials Monday through Friday. Learn about the history when Gus Piazza took it over in the early 70s, made it an absolute stop-in for everyone who came through Baton Rouge, and now Anthony, his son, carrying on the tradition. Phil's Oyster Bar, Southdown Shopping Center, and online, philsoysterbar.com.
Hold up, keep pushing, can't let shit slow up.
We're back. LSU men's basketball back-to-back wins as Cam Carter leads the way once again. This time, the first SEC win for LSU where Cam Carter doesn't have to score 27 or more points. He leads the way with 17 points on 50% shooting, and Mike Williams steps up with his season-high 13 points. So he hit 3 of 4 from deep. And then Victorious Miller and Jai Bailey also had double-digit points with 12 and 11, respectively. A big win for LSU was they were able to get back in town from Norman, Oklahoma, come off of the high of winning that game at the end, and really control this game from start to finish. Like to me, from the get-go all the way to the final buzzer, LSU was in control of this game. They ended the game with 9 turnovers, so that's back-to-back games where LSU, I think, wins the turnover battle and did not turn the ball over more than 10 times. It's a method for success. At one point this season, LSU was turning the ball over 15, 16, 17, 20 times.
That was crazy.
And was losing, in that 6-game, 7-game skid. Well, now they're turning the ball over only 9 times and finding ways to win. They also controlled the boards pretty well. Damian Collins played well. But to me, the biggest thing that's led to success for LSU currently is they've gone relatively small ball. Like they've gone with a 4 guard, 1 big look. And, they're going 4 out, 1 in with only 1 non-guard on the court, which has led to much better spacing because you have 4 threats to shoot it from outside, and Collins will even shoot it from there when he's on the floor. But you have threats to shoot from outside, so they can't help off. So it's creating lanes for Cam Carter and Mike Williams and these guys to get to the rim and be able to score or kick out, and you get better looks. And to me, that's what's led to the less turnovers. 1, their decision-making's been better, but 2, it's been able to be easier to make good decisions because they're playing with much more space. They're not running into anybody. They're not running into people in the gap and in the help and all these other things. They're able to be free, drive in open space, and make the right play. And they just look more comfortable. And obviously South Carolina is now 0-13 in the league. They are not a upper echelon SEC team.
They might be the lower echelon SEC team, maybe the lowest.
But they are still a good basketball team because in the non-conference they were very successful. And even in SEC play, 5 of their losses have been by 5 or less points. So they've battled. And we talked to Coach Brady about it yesterday. He said South Carolina's going to come out and they're going to bring effort and intensity, and LSU has to be able to respond and do the same. And that's what was encouraging for me. Watching that team, South Carolina came out and tried to do their best to push the envelope because I guarantee you they were looking at it the same way LSU was looking at it, saying this is our opportunity to get a win because we're playing the other team that's the worst in the conference. And LSU didn't allow that to happen, and they win by 14 points, 81-67 in the PMAC, which was nice to see. But this was a win that LSU needed to have because from here on out, I mean, it's death row in the SEC. I mean, they have Florida at home on Saturday, Tennessee at home next Tuesday. Those are the number 2 and number 6 teams in the country, respectively. And then after that, they head to Starkville to take on number 21 Mississippi State on March 1st. Then they head to Rupp Arena on March 4th to take on number 17 Kentucky. And then they rounded out at home March 8th against number 7 Texas A&M. So you playing number 2, number 6, number 7, number 17, and number 21 in your last 5 games. JD's ready?
JD is ready.
All right, well, we'll see how the LSU men's basketball is able to continue to grow off of yesterday's win as we get in here and we talk to Jacqu Doucet, the sports director over at WAFB. Jacques, how are you doing? How are you feeling?
I'm great. I'm joining you from the Spectrum at Southdown parking lot as the old man is trying to maximize his time this morning and get a little wimpy workout in and do everything else. So
you didn't want to bring us
I'm
in
certainly
and
not ready.
Set us up on the treadmill, huh?
Absolutely, man. I mean, a guy like you just doesn't look like he can keep up with my workout. Let me tell you, you're looking kind of scrawny there. Larry, you need to hit the weights a little bit.
Yeah,
but
I
I tell you, when you get to my age, you put 4.2 miles an hour on the treadmill and you walk 3 or 4 miles and you feel decent about yourself. I still jog, but probably about 10 minutes per mile. So not exactly tearing it up. I joked with Dennis Shaver one day, the LSU track coach, about how fast I was, and he got a kick out of that. So he's dealing with Olympic athletes, not an old man like me. But anyway, good to be with y'all this morning. Old man winter really setting in here in the next couple of days. So, I think the 1st of March is a week from Sunday coming up. So, but we got a little bit more winter weather here to deal with. Going to be really cold down there in Thibodaux tonight for LSU baseball and Nicholls State. And then we've got some state high school soccer championships going on in Hammond tonight. So the sports director here will not be outside tonight. So I really appreciate my younger team for tackling those sporting events for us this evening.
Of course. What have
JD, there was a world where that used to be that was the grind. You would be outside, and now you're finally flexing your sports director muscle. I feel like you pick and choose the opportunities to do so.
Well, I mean, I guess after 20 whatever years doing the other spot, I guess I can choose a little bit. Am I sticking here, guys?
No, you're good.
Okay. Well, Lloyd, one of my favorite stories, Lloyd, is I go down and I get to cover the Saints winning the Super Bowl, right? And so Steve Schneider and myself, we work onto the field, and Jeremy Shockey catches the touchdown. Lance Moore reaches over the goal line with the 2-point conversion, and we get down there just as the Colts are getting the ball, and Steve says, look, what's probably going to happen is the Colts are going to take the ball down. They're going to score on the other end, and Drew Brees and company will be driving straight at us for the game-winning score. Let's kneel right here. And I kid you not, 2 plays later, Tracy Porter steps in front of the ball. He intercepts it. He makes a beeline. Me and Steve, he strikes the pose. The ball rolls down and hit me on the shin as I was shooting the play. A lot of people were tweeting out a picture of Porter as he's running it back 15 years ago last week. He's pointing. You can see me and Steve in the end zone there. And 2 days later, I was at U High shooting a girls' soccer game in the cold, freezing cold. And I was singing that song from the 80s, Back to Life, Back to Reality. So when you cover local sports in Baton Rouge, you get a chance to really cover some big-time stuff. But if you don't like high school stuff or whatever, it's going to be a long stay for you here. We got great high school sports. So anyway, yeah, I'm a big fan, Lloyd, of the early cold baseball. Just not a fan of it. Really, really soft. I'm soft as a marshmallow when it comes to that stuff.
But correct me if I'm wrong, but where was your run-in with was that at Southeastern, or was that at whenever you took the kids were playing on the field and you were able to play a little catch with some of them?
Oh yeah, that was that led to a nice interaction on Facebook and my emails and whatnot. Yeah, I was wrong in that case. I guess we were that was the national championship team, I think. For LSU 2023, I think they ruled Southeastern that night 10-0 or something, and we were doing our post game interviews down the field with Jay Johnson and players, and there were some kids throwing the baseball around, and it kept bouncing into our interview section and hitting people on the feet, and one buzzed by Frank Kez's head and whatnot. The kids were just throwing the baseball. They're trying to have a good time. They didn't realize what was going on. But at one point, I think it hit my foot, and I just had enough, and I took it, and I threw it over my shoulder like that. And you can see the kid in the same shot waiting for me to just hand him the baseball. And he just like a grumpy old man right there just threw the ball over his shoulder because, that's what happened. And so I heard about it a lot. And I think I came on. Well, I heard about it from the families of the kids, and I was wrong for that. But I think Jordy on the show was like, oh, there's no doubt they did that on purpose. Oh, they were throwing that ball into the media on purpose, and so that's that's a moment. Well, because Jordy was that kid.
Exactly.
He was the kid throwing the ball into. It takes one to know one, maybe. I don't know. But, that was and I got food poisoning that night. I had eaten the jambalaya down the first base line, and I was driving home, and I was like, something's not right. And I kind of got fever, and, I ate some bad jambalaya that night. But that is no indictment on the great people of Hammond, America, and the Southeastern Lions. We're great place to watch athletics.
Yes, definitely. And speaking of baseball, what have you, kind of seen from this first 4-game stretch by the Tigers? I know John Eads been out there doing excellent work covering the team. What have you seen from Jay Johnson and his team through, this start?
Well, first off, I want to compliment John Eads and the job he's doing because, that's the deal now. Me, that used to be my gig, and you can't do both gigs. I can cover things here and there as I'd like to, but you just can't be the guy on the beat and also being the sports director and all that with the baseball team. And it had gotten to the point where I was getting a little bit older when you're setting up the camera and the live view and everything on opening day. And it's like, man, this is getting a little harder and harder every year to one-man band this stuff. And he has taken the bull by the horns and really done an amazing job. Not to bore your listeners or your viewers, but it's the hardest sport to cover for a television guy because if you're out there shooting it, every other sport, the ball scores. You throw the football, you run it across the goal line. Basketball, you shoot through a hoop. Soccer, you kick a ball through the net. Baseball, that thing's coming off the bat at 100 whatever miles an hour. You're trying to find it. Then it bounces or it's caught. Where's the runners? Who's scoring? Who hit the ball? Is he at second, third? So to do that with one camera is really, it's challenging. And it's the hardest thing to teach interns how to do and try to do. But he's really embraced it and done a great job and cranking out. He's got the, if Twitter and cocaine were linked, I know what it feels like to be on that Twitter and just be firing out material left and right? And be kind of hooked on that stuff. And he definitely is cranking out the material like crazy. And so I compliments to him and Kevin Baptiste, who also works very, very hard. And the two guys I got are great. So anyway, I haven't been out there yet. I've just kind of watched the highlights and through 4 games, LSU really has just out-muscled and outmanned their competition. Purdue, Fort Wayne, I don't know much about them. I looked them up. I saw they had a 19-37 record last year. So they obviously didn't have a great year. Southern had come in and really shocked LSU a year ago at the box, 12-7. I think that was on April Fool's Day of last year. I was in beautiful Albany, New York, covering women's basketball. I think that night. I think that was the night maybe they were beating UCLA or something. But anyway, the pitching numbers were amazing. They're hitting. Curiel has had a very nice debut. Ware looked very good yesterday. Chase Shores coming back from his Tommy John had a very nice Sunday. Good to see Ethan Fry hit a home run yesterday. He was a guy that I think they were counting on a little bit more last year. Didn't quite come to pass. He's had injuries and whatnot. So, through 4 games, they've really just kind of, mowed over the competition. I don't know how much you take from that. I mean, you can't do any better winning the games and winning them by the margins that they've won. I think next week is going to be a real big indicator when they take on, I think, Dallas Baptist, and then they play those 3 games in Frisco, Texas. I think they're playing at least 2 ranked opponents next week. So that'll give you a little better idea. Omaha comes in this weekend. Don't know. I haven't looked up or know much about them other than the fact that when LSU went to Omaha and won the national championship 2 summers ago, they would go and practice at the University of Omaha, and they had a nice little relationship. I joke with Jay Johnson, they're only playing him just because they see Omaha across their jerseys, and that's where they want to go, and that's where their motivation, where they want to get to, right? I know those guys see that every day. If you've ever been to LSU in the team meeting rooms and whatnot, I mean, Omaha is plastered everywhere. So, and Jay Johnson in his post-game interviews, very militant, very matter-of-fact, very Terminator-ish as they have mowed through these 4 games very easily so far.
And last one here before we close it out, just a little bit on the LSU women's basketball. We saw after the rough loss to Texas last weekend, you put a little tidbit out on the Twitter. What did you see from Mulkey and her squad in that loss to Texas?
Well, it just goes to show you how far things have come. The previous, 10 years, LSU just never played a game like that. They didn't really play a game like that since the, Pokey Chapman days of the early 2000s, in which they were a top 5 team and the opponent was a top 5 team. So they've played 2 of those this year, and it shows how far we have come that we are now disappointed in a team that's, 25-2. And 10-2 in the SEC or whatever, who's lost, a game at the defending national champion juggernaut South Carolina Gamecocks, who, had a winning streak. I think it hit, I don't know how many games it hit, 70, 80 games that they'd won at home. Now they just got boat raced. It was crazy. I haven't seen South Carolina get beat like that in years. UConn really stuck it to them in Columbia on Sunday. And then this game, a top 5 opponent again, I just felt like the game was there for the taking. You just kind of had the feeling, as Texas just could not make anything in the first half, that you needed to separate the score maybe a little bit more, that they were not going to be that bad from the field for as long as they were. And sure enough, in the second half, especially Madison Booker, I think she missed her first 11 shots. She started getting hot. And LSU, since Alexis Morris has left, what is the point guard situation? Who do they have to handle the ball down the stretch? Because Alexis in the national championship year, she was so key to that team in terms of, okay, if we've got a lead, protecting the lead, she'd make her free throws, or she'd drive and hit a shot, or she'd dish to somebody for a layup. And I think at the point guard spot, they're still kind of missing that. Way too many turnovers and just a really they scored less than 60 points. Offense went into a shell. So when you watch a game like that, I mean, and if you're a program like LSU, you're thinking, okay, is this what's going to happen when LSU makes the Sweet 16 or the Elite Eight if they make it that far? Is it going to be that when they play an opponent like this, they can't quite make the plays down the stretch? Now, look, they have beaten some very good teams. They beat Tennessee twice. They beat Oklahoma at home. I think they beat NC State early in the year at a tournament, and NC State's a really good team. So they've beaten some very good teams. Just these 2 games against elite competition, it's been frustrating to see it slip away. And take nothing away from South Carolina and Texas, but I just feel like LSU will look at those 2 games and say we kind of beat ourselves. If we would have played a little bit better, we would have won.
Definitely. We appreciate it, Jacques. Great stuff this morning. We'll talk to you again next week. Make sure you follow Jacques on Twitter at WFB9Sports, and we'll talk to you next Wednesday.
All right, I'll see you here inside. We'll superset here
Let's
in a
do
moment.
it. Let's do it. Let's go. All right, good to see you.
All right, thanks. Appreciate it.
Yep.
All right, we're going to take a quick break here. We're going to get Nick Underhill set up to talk some Kellen Moore, his staff, and the Saints here to close out hour number 2 on the Wednesday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show.
Family. That saying resonates even more as your family grows. And we can't seem to stop growing. Meet the newest member of the Get Gordon family, Penny's cousin Rosie. Rosie already knows, the larger your family, the more people you have to lift you up during trying times. Just like at Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys, we've grown to over 200 team members with over 50 local attorneys. So whether you pick Penny, employ Ellie, roll with Rosie, or get Gordon, we want to be your lawyers for life.
Your lawyers for life.
Phil's Oyster Bar, a staple of South Louisiana since 1945, located in Southdown Shopping Center and online at philsoysterbar.com. If you log online, you can learn about the private party schedule, the catering menu, and even order online. Daily lunch specials Monday through Friday. Learn about the history when Gus Piazza took it over in the early 70s, made it an absolute stop-in for everyone who came through Baton Rouge, and now Anthony, his son, carrying on the tradition. Phil's Oyster Bar, Southdown Shopping Center, and online, philsoysterbar.com.
I'ma do what's best for me, you can keep all your lectures. Spend the summer stacking bread, might be gone to November. Pulling up like Trey Young just to freeze up December. I got niggas on the blood like traditional sinners. OGs love me, so I hang with traditional winners.
Hour number 2 closing out here on this Wednesday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show. We are here on New Orleans Football Network YouTube channel, as well as our own, the Jordy Culotta YouTube channel. But the leader here of New Orleans Football, Nick Underhill, is joining us to close out the last hour. Nick, how's it going? How are you?
Hey, doing good. How you guys doing?
Oh, we're doing well. We're doing well. How's everything in New Orleans? A lot of things moving and shaking with the Saints, Kellen Moore, and all the moves. We haven't spoken to you, since all these moves have been made. How was the opening presser for Kellen here in New Orleans?
Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of energy. I think good energy, needed energy. It's kind of been depressing here, like around the Saints. Like there hasn't been a lot to be excited about, and I think he's somebody that represents change. Now, whether that change that ends up being good or bad, I mean, I think that's still to be determined. But he's different than anything that's been around here for a while, and I think it was just time for something different. It isn't the continuation of Sean Payton. It isn't just trying to build on what was already here. It feels like something new with new ideas with. A guy that just won a Super Bowl and had a pretty good game in that Super Bowl. Like, I don't think he'll ever go up there and be a guy that's like a leaky faucet at the podium. It doesn't seem like he's going to say a whole lot much there. It's going to be guarded, but a 36-year-old offensive mind. I like the idea of him. I think the things that are going to determine whether he's good or not, we can't see right now. The leadership, how things play out in bad and challenging times. It's easy to be a leader when you're, coaching the Eagles, but is it going to be the same if the Saints are, 5-11 or whatever it is at some point late in the season? Are you going to be able to keep the team together, for that final stretch? I guess it would be, 5-8 or whatever. But, that final month of the season, if it's looking terrible, like, can you stand up there and still lead a team? I think that all still has to be figured out. But, he's putting together a good staff. He's exciting. He has, good ideas. And, I think it's a needed change for the team.
Yeah, and you talk about this staff that he's put together. What names so far have kind of stood out to you as just really good moves for him as he begins his future in New Orleans?
Yeah, so, they've been negotiating a contract with Doug Nussmeier for a couple days now, and I think eventually that's going to get done. Obviously he's the father of Garrett, played for the Saints 94, 95, I think. Has been with Moore in Dallas, was with them with the Chargers, followed him to the Eagles last year. That's just kind of your guy. That's if you can bring him with you, like having the guy that you like coaching with, that you like building with. I think that's all huge. And then I think for it would be interesting because he has another son who's like a really highly like a highly talented individual. I heard somewhere that maybe, and I don't want to like break news here, so I'm not going to say it. I'll tell you guys off the air. Like I heard a school that I think his son's transferring to the area if he gets a job here.
Wow.
But I'm not positive on that. I don't want to like report on like a 15, 16-year-old kid. like that's somebody else's territory here. But definitely not mine. But yeah, I think that would be interesting. Just to see the family come out here or whatever. I think they're in Texas right now. And like the other son has like offers from Alabama and all this other stuff. Another coach though that I heard they're bringing over is TJ. I'm going to say his name wrong. Paganetti. He was the assistant, basically like the assistant run game coordinator there last year, and obviously Saquon ran for 2,000 yards. They know how to put together a run game, so that would be a strong hire to bring over. Obviously Kellen, I think, is a X's and O's guru in the passing game, and if you could bring someone over that's really helped build that run game in Philly, which has been the backbone of what they do, I think that's a good hire. Joel Thomas is coming back. He was the running backs coach here for a number of years, 2015 to 23, was in that role. Brandon Nugent used to be offensive line coach here, coached with coached with Moore with the Chargers on Staley's staff. He's coming back. So Keith Washington staying the coach for receivers like him. So it's like it's a good little staff right now. Defensively, the picture still hasn't quite come together. I think it will ultimately. If I had to place a bet today, I would say Staley ends up getting that job, and that would be interesting to me. Really, really good X's and O's guy. Did a great job with the Rams for the 1 year he was there. Had a lot of really talented players. The defense with the Chargers was always just kind of mediocre, but maybe getting back and just being able to focus on that one aspect of it instead of the whole team. Maybe you get back to where you were, but it would be interesting to see what those two can do.
Yeah, and talking about Kellen Moore, as the head coach of the Saints, a lot is going to be made of his offensive scheme as he is a former OC. What have you heard and what's the feel about his scheme fitting in here in New Orleans and some of the personnel that the Saints have already?
Yeah, I think it'll work. I think it will play. You have to start building for it. Look, they got to build a better team regardless of what the scheme ends up being. So there's a lot of work to be done there. But I think at its core, it's kind of like a modified West Coast system, which isn't too unfamiliar here. Play calls are a lot shorter than what Sean Payton did. But, that verbiage from what I've been able to see, I got my hands on one of his old playbooks, and it's all kind of like West Coast language in there. But I'm sure he's adapted and taken some things from Philadelphia and built on that a little bit. That's kind of what he does. Is he likes to just study the game and kind of take pieces and put it together and try to build the best possible offense. And that's the thing I like the most about him, is that like he's really like a guy that just kind of goes out and looks for like new football stuff to do. Like he's online watching, coaching videos and stuff like that late at night. I was watching a mic'd up video of him with the Chargers, and they were like practicing a blocking drill he had seen on Twitter that he thought would help his team. So he's just someone that's like really curious about the game, really loves the game. And I think that type of person's hard to, it's hard to beat that type of guy. Like, obviously you need to get the right players and all that stuff, but like if you're just like really motivated by the work and the process, like that gives you a little bit of an edge over, some other people. You aren't there for the money or the glory or all that stuff. Like if it's really just about the work and you're still excited about the work, once you get into doing something at a high level like that's really tough to beat. So yeah, I mean, look, I think they need to get some receivers though. I think they need another tight end. I think, you're good at running back for this year, but I think you need another one on the roster. Offensive line can be better, at least at 2 spots, if not 3. Quarterback, I think it's really kind of you can plug and play with what you got, and I think if they really tried, they could be successful this year if they don't like go into a rebuild. But a year from now, like you're in that spot, like you got an older, aging team. I think it's time to lean into it, kind of start that rebuilding process, and let Moore get the players that are going to best suit his system.
Ed, you talked about some of the players that are going to suit the system. Quarterback was brought up. Is there, we kind of did like a draft day fodder for this thing whenever we saw the Kellen Moore announcement was made, and then he gets introduced, and we're looking around the room to see who's there, and one particular person wasn't there. And so is there anything to read into that, to how Kellen Moore's been non-committal on Carr, and now you have his brother tweeting about him on social media, comparing career earnings and all of these things? And it just feels like it was a very... I don't know, it kind of like fumbled up at least the initial intro. Like it wasn't great to start the date.
Yeah, the weirdest thing about that is that there was like a comparison table like just ready to go. Like
right,
like the tweet hit and you got the response ready. Like it was like, what is going on here? Like it wasn't like it was.
It's like he had a manifesto. He'd been keeping up with it.
Yeah, it was very surprising. Like it was like prepared documentation. Like I couldn't believe it. Like it's like what's happening here? Yeah, I mean, I thought the answer was really interesting because he didn't Kellen Moore didn't say anything bad about Derek Carr, but it was also very thought out to the point where I think he was saying. He literally said like he's a good quarterback in the NFL, but he didn't say he's a good quarterback for the Saints. He didn't say he's my quarterback. He didn't tie in with him. He just said he's a quarterback and he's good. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't any type of commitment. There wasn't, it might be, hey, we're together for a year, but he was very careful to make sure he didn't say this is my guy. Yeah, I'm backing him. This is my guy. Alvin Kamara came up. There's kind of an answer about him that was pretty much, hey, look. This guy's great, going to be a big part of what we do. If someone had asked about Eric McCoy, I'm sure he would have said, that's my starting center. But, he did not say, that's my starting quarterback. That's my guy. So, look, I think it's obvious. So, there's no way that's the player he wants to be tied in with for the next 5, 6, 7 years. Derek's still a young player. He's going to be in the league for a while, young at that position. That's not going to be the guy long term. It can be the guy for now. It might be the Denver situation where you make a move a year from now and you kind of ride out with Derek for a year because the cap ramifications are really messy. And if you cut him this year, there's not a lot more you can do to even, fill out your roster. You're not improving it at all. So it might be a year from now thing, but they could just want to get him out of here and be bad for a year and kind of have the fresh start. I could see it either way, but yeah, it was very much not a strong tie-in. There were no players at the press conference, so that and they're in the smaller room doing it than they would have in the past because they turned the old media room into their studio, their podcast studio. So we were in a defensive meeting room. No players were in there. You had to RSVP to be able to go. So they're kind of figuring that out. So no players in there. So I'm not reading into that at all. But yeah, definitely it feels like there's just very much two groups in the same room. And I'm sure they can all work together because Kellen seems like a very reasonable, nice human being. Derek Carr is a reasonable, genuinely decent, nice person. I'm sure they can tie in together and do some things. But yeah, that wasn't a ringing endorsement. And he said it once. Tripp pressed him on it, hey, is this your starting quarterback? He's like, nope. He didn't say no. He's like, we just got here. We're looking it over. And then he did an NFL Network interview after it with Mike Garafolo and Jane Slater, asked pretty much the same question and gave almost bar for bar the same exact answer. So it was something he had thought out, prepared, had ready in his mind, knew he was going to be asked about it, and made sure he wasn't saying something that could be interpreted as Kellen Moore endorses Derek Carr. It wasn't that at all.
No, but by almost saying nothing, he said a lot. Because it could have been, there was definitely opportunities given to him multiple times to say, yes, this is going to be my starting quarterback. And instead, it's I think he's a good player in this league.
Yeah. anytime you're evaluating that position, hey, is this guy going to, you'll hear it every week. Is this guy going to start? Oh, we're looking at all our options. It's like, oh, he's not starting.
Yeah.
Like it's always like, if you can't commit to your quarterback, it means something. And it might just mean it's temporary. Like I still kind of, you asked me today to make a prediction. Like I still am going to predict that Carr's starting this weekend, or not this weekend, week 1 of the season. That would be my guess. But I could see it. I could definitely see it going either other way. Like I don't feel great about that. I just think the cap part of it makes it seem kind of likely that he's probably still the starter this year. But I wouldn't make a bet on 26. Like if he's here, I think next season's most likely the last year, unless they have like an incredible run and the narrative changes. But right now, it doesn't feel like a long-term situation.
And you bring up the Saints cap situation, which I think everyone, involved, whether it's fan or media, understands that the Saints are in cap hell. But what truly is the situation when it comes to contracts, cap room, and things for the Saints, and how do they go to attack that this offseason?
I mean, if they want to, they can do what they always do and restructure everybody and go for 10 wins and clear up a decent amount of cap space and have money to spend. But I mean, then you're restructuring Carr's $30 million, which might have to happen regardless. Cam Jordan's $12.5 million. You'd have to restructure that. I actually think the approach there is more pay cut. But like you could go through and do all these. Taysom Hill, $10 million, restructure it. McCoy, $9.6 million. DeMario, $6.5. Cesar Ruiz, $9 million. Carl Granderson, $7. Tyron, $6 million. Like you can restructure all these and create space. But I just don't think it's worth it. I think that's the worst thing you can do right now. Like I think you just do what you got to do to get compliant and keep trying to pare this down and get onto the other side of this and not be tied in with a ton of aging players beyond the season. You can always make cap space. Like that's never the question. The question, again, it's just always, is it worth doing this or not? And I think 2 years ago, they hit a point where it was like no longer worth doing it. Last year, they were kind of controlled with it. A lot of their additions were one-year deals. Chase Young, $12 million. Like they didn't do anything. I don't know if they signed anyone with a second year on their contract, come to think of it, but they were kind of controlled in that. And like, I would hope they stay with that and keep doing that going forward. The problem with that though is, going back to the signing of Derek Carr, like in retrospect, if you really look at it, I would say their approach, not even necessarily signing Carr, but their approach after it, like, is the thing that didn't make sense. Like, if you're going to sign Derek Carr, you have to treat him like he's Sam Darnold, and I got to put all these pieces around him, and I got to spend money to be good. Like, but it was like they signed Derek Carr and acted like Derek Carr should elevate the team, and obviously he's not that player. He's not a savior. He's not good enough to do that. You're never going to win a game because of him. You can win a game with him if you have enough around him, but you're never going to win, at least multiple games because of him. He's not going to carry you to the promised land. Like, we know that. So it was kind of like there were like two different philosophies, and they hit this crossroads, and it was like, okay, we're going to sign Carr and we're going to stop. Like, that isn't what they should have. Like, if you're going to do that, like, try to be good, but it's too late for that. Like, it's too late to try to do that. I think you've hit a point where it's clear this isn't going to be the thing that gets you to the Super Bowl. I think you pare it down and you keep trying to, get rid of these contracts, do what you got to do to be compliant, get just enough money to have operating income, and don't try to go for, 10 wins, try to make the playoffs. Like, but I think they're going to try to have 1 foot in, 1 foot out, over the next couple of years and try to remain competitive while not doing too much. And, that's kind of where Tampa was at, and they made the playoffs. And I don't know. It's hard to see it being worth it because like they've been aiming at that for so long, and it just hasn't led anywhere. Like I'm just kind of ready for like, the pare down and move forward a different way. But you have 2 good drafts, and all of a sudden like you're right back in this thing. But yeah, the cap situation, they can get compliant. It's just you got to hope you don't see them go crazy and try to do too much. Oh, we got a new coach, like let's go for it. Like no, I hope that isn't what they do.
And you mentioned like the kind of the paring down of it all. Do you think that it all happens in one fell swoop with all of these guys that have ingrained themselves into the Saints culture and into New Orleans? Like when it becomes like DeMario Davis, Cam Jordan, Tyrann Mathieu, Taysom Hill. It's like those are all the guys that are aging that you've tried to keep around. And that's but that is who the people think of when they think of the Saints. Like their personalities are so intertwined. When you make that move, is it all like last tour for the band, or they try to keep some people around? And because it feels like to me it'd be one fell swoop and just kind of all right, we're rebranding the Saints, and this is how you rebuild.
It kind of can't be though, because like if you cut Cam, it costs you $3.9 million to cut him. Like you don't save money, it costs you money to cut him. If you cut DeMario, it costs you $4.7 million to cut him. Like you don't save anything. Taysom, if you cut him, you save $277,000. Like that doesn't really help you too much. What's Tyron? Tyron's number is it costs you almost $1 million to cut Tyron. Like you can cut some of these guys, and you can there's things you can do to kind of play around with it a little bit. It wouldn't really help your cap space up front, but you could do like a June 1st cut on 2 of them. One of those I think is going to end up being Ramchecked. I'll lower his number and then do a June 1st. But like basically that allows you to kind of carry it over 2 months or 2 years. You pay some of it now and then you pay some of the rest of the balance a year from now. And if you did that with like say Cam, like it's $11 million that you would add to your cap, but you wouldn't add that money until June 2nd, which is after free agency, after kind of everything. So it doesn't really help your immediate cap if you do a post June 1st cap cut with him. So like I'm sure there's going to be someone. I'm sure they'll try to do some stuff. I think. Look, if you can find a way to afford like cutting all the older players, and but that would be it. Like basically, you can cut some of your older guys and take that hit now, take your medicine now, but then you have to keep Carr. If you cut Carr, you can't cut any of the old guys. It's kind of like an either or. I think we'll see some of it, but I think if they decide to do a paring down, I think it'll be a 2-year thing. Like I think it's just going to be. I think if you look at Denver, the reset there is kind of what I think it would be. And for me, look, I know everyone wants to be done with Derek Carr and move on. The thing for me would be, I would probably try to get rid of some of the older players, carry the quarterback for a year, cut the quarterback a year from now, try to build up a little bit with the flexibility I create, and try to have a structure ready so next year when I put my quarterback in it, like maybe they can do the Bo Nix thing, and you got a little bit more help there, and you've kind of cleaned it out to hit a path. But I don't think you can do it all at once. I think it has to be a 2-year thing.
I mean, the way this roster is constructed currently, there is a world in which you cut Carr and Aaron Rodgers in there and he joins this is the last ride together, or you bring in a quarterback that probably has 1 to 2 years left with a defense that probably has 1 to 2 years left, and I think that would be like a public win? You think for New Orleans? Because both kind of the sentiment around Rodgers is bizarre, but I think that it's so bad with Carr in New Orleans that would almost be viewed as like a nice change of pace, even though you're not. I mean, Rodgers is probably the most controversial quarterback in the league in the last 5 years.
Did you guys watch the documentary on Netflix?
Oh, my Enigma?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's going to spin right off this planet. Yeah, I think he's awesome. Like, I do too. At least he's interesting.
I kind of liked it.
Yeah.
I kind of liked it. Obviously, like that thing's like made for him. Like it's extremely biased and all that stuff. But it was kind of like he was someone that I was just like, man, I don't want to hear this guy talk anymore. And then I watched the doc. I was like, oh, all right, like he's kind of interesting. I don't know. Like if you could get him for nothing, I guess. But like if you're gonna try to start a reset, to me, it's just like I want him to just like be. I want him to win. Like if they're gonna get rid of Carr, like I want you to try to win 5 games on purpose instead of on accident. Like just try to not do too much. Have a draft pick. Try to have an answer for it. Have your suffering mean something. Like if you're paring it down, you're going to Rodgers. Like it's kind of like you're just doing the same thing. But I don't know. Maybe there is a reality there where you're a decent team and it's fun and you're good. So like I'm not like super opposed to it. I'm just kind of exhausted with the like trying to be okay thing. And it's weird. Like you look at it, like you read like what Steelers fans are saying, and they're like all ready to be like done with it, ready to move on. And then from a distance, you're looking at the Steelers, and you're like, man, that's like a good. They're always good. They're always relevant. They're never that bad. But when you really do kind of like look at it, if you allow yourself to kind of get stuck in the spot where you're constantly chasing a quarterback and you never really have an answer, but you keep your team like super strong and good around, like you can get stuck at that, like where it's just like, okay, going to make the playoffs and losing the first round every single year and there's no way out of it. And at a certain point, like I think that probably does get exhausting.
Old, which is crazy.
Yeah, like I want, like if the Saints are going to go through like lean times, I want it to lead to something where there's at least, look, like drafting a quarterback is the hardest thing in the world. It's probably worse than a 50-50 proposition, even in like the first 10 picks of the draft. Like it's incredibly hard to find the right answer. But if they're going to suffer, I at least want them to try to like pull a ticket and see if that ticket goes somewhere. I don't want to like, okay, you cut Carr, you get Aaron Rodgers, you do that for a year, and then a year from now you're kind of spinning your wheels and you're in the, you know, the basket looking for the next you know, well, like no, like Darnold, like you're looking for a Darnold, you're looking for a Mayfield, and then okay, what if Mayfield works? Now you're paying him $35-40 million a year, and like he's still not a top 10 quarterback, and now you're kind of tied into that, and you're going to make playoffs every year, and you're going to lose in the first round, and you're never going to win a Super Bowl. Like I kind of want like the Saints path to have a direction where it feels like you can get like above it. Like they tried to do that with Carr. They tried to have like we're going to skip the 1 year with Baker and then have to pay Baker. They tried to just go in with like the sure thing. Then at the time I was for it. Like quarterback insecurity is a crazy thing. Like if you don't have the quarterback, like it can be extremely scary. But yeah, I want to see him. I just want to see him have a path where it feels like you're going somewhere better.
It feels like you're dancing around the tank world, but it's so hard to tank in the NFL. It feels like nobody does it. Like it could be easy, but it's not really how it operates in the league.
Yeah, it's where I don't believe in like the whole get rid of everybody and tank, but I think if you end up in a spot where the Saints are at, where it's kind of just happening anyhow, like you can put it back together. Like I do believe if you keep everything here and you really try, like you could probably win the NFC South next year. Like you really could. Like it's a bad division, you can win it. Injuries were a real thing last year. But it's just like, okay, if you do that a year from now, you're right back. You're a year older. All your core players are a year older. You still need everything. You need young players everywhere. It's kind of reached a point where they're at that ledge on accident. Like they didn't try to get there. I think if you try to get there, like it's very hard to get out of it. But I don't want to see them like all out get rid of every asset and tank, but like they kind of have made a couple moves toward that. Like trading Marshawn Lattimore is a move a little bit toward that. Like it's an admission of it. You know, I don't think you want to straight up tank, because I think if you kill your culture, it's impossible to get it back, and that's not where you want to start. But like I feel like the Broncos are a decent model. Like you reasonably tried to compete. You got rid of a lot of players. You didn't let it go to hell. And then the next year, like you kind of start the rebuilding process. Like I think you can just try to be good, but not try too hard to be good. But like I don't want to go from Carr to Rodgers. Like it just feels like a temporary Band-Aid. Like if you're getting rid of the quarterback, I say go with Rattler and just roll with that. And if you're going with, you know, if you want an older guy, just stick with Carr for a year and get rid of the older players. Like I don't want to like replace one Carr with Carr plus. Like, and I think Aaron Rodgers is way better, but he's older. He has health concerns, and it just feels like kind of doing the same thing, just in, you know, with a different face of you know, a different person leading the band.
Rodgers in New Orleans, though, would be elite. After everything I saw, he's gonna he'll find some places to go.
Yeah.
No, definitely. Well, thank you, Nick. Great stuff this morning. And we'll obviously get in touch to get this little Nussmeier tidbit from you after we get off. But we'll talk to you next week.
All right. Take it easy, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
We are brought to you every day by Barker Brothers Plumbing and Works. The number 225-776-2431. Barker Brothers Plumbing Works. No website, no social media. 15% off if you mention the Culotta Show. If you need them to come do some work, make sure you dial that number up. That's the only way to contact them, 225-776-2431. Great stuff today from Jacques and Nick. We did have something in the chat. Where's it at? John Quav need to do a Wordle Wednesday before we get out of here today. So John Quav wants to get a little Wordle going. We'll close it out with a Wordle, and get ready for this Wednesday night of LSU baseball as they take on Nichols this evening in Thibodaux, and then close out the rest of the week. But do a quick.
Let's chat if you have a name for the Wordle game.
Yes.
Make a pick for us, and we'll build from there. But if not, we'll put one in.
Yeah, give us a name.
That's all he needs, a player
to start the Wordle. Give us an NFL football player to put in first to try to find our way to a winning victory. You didn't fail us the first time. The T. Higgins pool got us Gesicki in 3 guesses. So give us some names here, NFL players, to get this Wordle party started. My first thought was Aaron Rodgers. since that's where the conversation
Oh,
just
yeah,
was.
we could do that because Anthony Bailey, the Rogers thing doesn't make any sense. No, none of this makes any sense.
No.
I don't know what they're trying to do.
I have no idea.
But I was just thinking it would be more fun with Rogers because I don't know where he's going. And it feels like the Saints don't want to do this with Carr anymore. So I just was putting it out there.
Right.
As if this is your model with the current players that you have, you would be more inclined to win with Aaron Rodgers, and then you could kind of get rid of all of them.
Yeah,
if
it
you
would
could
at least
make a run.
It would at least be entertaining.
So we'll do
to have
Rodgers.
Rodgers here, but we'll do Rodgers first here on the Wordle and see. I have a feeling it's going to be gray all the way through. See if it gives us something. Oh, quarterback. So we've got a quarterback that's obviously younger than Rodgers.
Obviously.
The number is higher.
Derek Carr.
Not in the AFC.
I mean, it could be.
No, the number's got to be higher than 8. So we dodged that bullet.
Oh.
Number's got to be higher than 8, younger than 41, shorter than 6'2", so probably about 6'1". A quarterback in the NFC.
What number does Kyler Murray wear?
He wears 1. Another NFC quarterback.
I don't know numbers in the NFL.
Oh.
6'1"
I only
quarterback.
know, my own teams, I guess. The team I'm a fan of.
No, Russell Wilson's in the AFC. Give me...
What number's Baker?
6.
Ah.
Give me...
What's Bryce Young wear?
That's what I was about to say.
He wears 9. We can do Bryce Young. He's definitely shorter than 6'2", but he's not 6'1". It's going to be... Let's see. All right, not the NFC South, but it is the NFC. Older than 23, but it's close.
We have the height.
It's close. It's got to be higher than 5'10". I think it's going to be right about 6'1". So it's not the NFC South. So if you go NFC East, you have the Eagles, Commanders.
What number is Dak?
Cowboys 4.
What's Kenny Pickett? Who's Kenny Pickett?
Kenny Pickett's
play
on the
for?
Eagles, and he is...
Is he over 23?
He is. Let's try Pickett. That's a good guess. I like Pickett. Let's go Kenny Pickett because I think his number, I think he's 10 now. Okay. No, he's still 7. All right. So
Kenny Pickett 6'3"?
Yeah, what?
Tall, wow. For some reason, I thought he was short.
I think that's because he has small hands.
Yeah, I guess so. The gloves.
So it's 24,
Kenny
25
gloves.
years old.
So not the NFC East or
6'1".
South. So NFC North and NFC West. What's the NFC West? It's the Seahawks. Is Geno Smith.
Rams.
He's number 7. The Rams, Matthew Stafford, number 9. No, it's higher than 9. Brock Purdy. Give me Purdy. He's 13. Number 13.
Age seems right.
The age seems to fit.
What do you have to say about this?
You don't like Purdy?
How tall is Purdy?
I think he's right in there. Yep. That felt right.
Good call.
That's it. What was that, 4? 4 guesses?
Yep.
Oh, Hakeem Batiste in the chat. Brock Purdy, great job, Hakeem.
I love that people play
This is
along
awesome.
with this. Caleb Williams, Jalen Hurts, Brock Purdy.
It's new chatters, too.
How about it? Brock Purdy's the winner. I like that.
That was a good one.
That was good. That was a good one. Great way to close it out. A successful Wordle.
If we ever fail, that would be really fucking embarrassing.
It would be.
We shouldn't.
No, we should be able to nail this.
The only thing that's that is somewhat not successful is having to guess more than how many guesses do you get? 8? If we get to 8, that would be brutal.
It would be. It would be. Should we do a Wordle, like an actual Wordle, just to piss you off?
No. I'm going to start studying how to do them.
Just pull it up. We're going to teach you right now.
No, we'll save it for tomorrow.
Let's teach you right now.
Save it for tomorrow. In case we can't get to 9.
Yeah, I guess that is true.
You gotta,
Yep, we gotta
know when to
shut it down. And we were successful. Let's just take our W and go home.
Win.
Take our win and go
I
home.
lost yesterday. I don't need to lose again today.
We appreciate you lost a lot of fluid and a lot of food.
Did.
You did.
That's disgusting.
I can't believe it. It was
straight water.
I literally went home and my mom was like, "Why'd you leave him? You should have stayed there and made sure he was alive." I was like, "Mom, I couldn't listen to that any longer."
The last one was.
It was.
It hit. It came it jarred me back.
That one I heard with the window up.
Yeah.
I had the window down at first.
It was concussive.
And then I rolled the window up because I couldn't do it. And then it was just.
Sometimes you surprise yourself. You're like, "Whoa, that's a lot coming out."
Yeah.
I was like, I probably need to go home. I slept for 8 hours.
Oh, CVO's glad to hear Christian come out.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Christian.
Congratulations, Christian. Something we all knew, but now everybody.
Yeah, let me hit that because I'm not coming out.
We'll be back tomorrow.
You look like a straight lesbian. Is what you look like with that hat.
small.
He does, doesn't he? You look like you go to softball games a lot.
Look at you.
I look awesome.
Look at you.
I'm kick-ass.
We appreciate you guys. We'll be back tomorrow morning, 7 to 9 with more of the Jordy Culotta Show.
Lesbian.
Line up with me, you gon' see how different how I'm running the game, but don't stretch. My hitters stay with me. Give them nothing, we putting up 60.